My way, or the highway, and in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gallop Out. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson, joined by, Jackson Muniz is shaking his head. What's up?
I'm never going to get used to the fact that we have Nick still up there. I don't understand, but it's fine.
You don't have to understand. You just have to go with it. We're back. I was in Arizona last week. I think that was last week. I don't know. I get the days mixed up. I was out at the symposium. That was a ton of fun. But now we're back to business. You, Tony Kalo, our special guest, and our special host for the week was Noah Maher last week. So thanks to him for filling in. Hope you guys had a fun show doing that with Tony Kalo. And as it turns out, all the picks that you guys did on that show, they canceled the racing day, but it's coming up this Sunday. So be sure to check that out over on In the Money YouTube or on X. But again, we're within the money now. So all the Gallop Out shows can be found there on the In the Money Network channel. Jackson, this week we have something fun. We're going out to Oaklawn, to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where we're going to preview a new wager that's, become more popular around, and I think that's a really good thing for horse players. It's the $3 late pick 3 with the 15% takeout. The racing secretary out at Oaklawn has done an excellent job kind of highlighting that sequence by, making that late pick 3 very competitive and typically starting that sequence off with a stake race. But to join us as we go through this sequence is none other than the announcer and San Diego's own. It's Matt Dinerman. Matt, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan, Jackson, good to be on with you. How are you doing?
We're doing well. Good to have you back. How's the season starting off at Oaklawn so far?
Well, we couldn't have gotten off to a better start. Big fields, good quality. We saw some really nice horses along the way, including the horse that everybody's talking about, Decode, breaking his maiden by open lengths and getting a big figure. So all in all, went really well. Our handle was fantastic. And it was basically everything that we're looking for with good horse racing, the quality, the field size, and a lot of fans as well. We had a significant on-track crowds Friday and Saturday especially. So we're really excited with how things started out.
It's incredible. Yeah, the racing product, as I'm sure Jackson can attest to, was as great as ever. I mean, competitive fields. And yeah, that maiden-breaking performance by Decode was special for sure. That was a huge effort first time out. Yeah, I'm excited to get into this week. As Oaklawn continues going, you guys often have a stakes race pretty much every Saturday and Sunday as you guys go through the season. But the cards keep getting more competitive, obviously building up to the end of January when you guys have the first on-site contest as well that you guys are doing January 31st, February 1st. I assume you, along with a lot of the other people at Oaklawn, are really excited to have that on-track contest.
We are, and luckily we have a contest that can give out NHC seats and BCBC seats. So we're expecting a lot of heavy hitter contest players to show up, along with a lot of other contest players that are looking to maybe earn points and also earn seats for the first time, including the man to your right, Ryan. That's what we were talking about off air. We'd love to see Jackson make an appearance here in Hot Springs.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm like 98% going, as long as nothing funky comes up with work. But I've never been out to Oaklawn. I've been trying to make it out there for a couple years now, and this seems like the perfect opportunity, the perfect excuse to make my way out there. So really looking forward to it.
And that's the thing, is we're going to get a lot of people that are contest players that haven't been to Oaklawn. So they're going to get to experience Oaklawn themselves and not only experience the racetrack, but obviously after the races and even in the morning, you get to experience the casino and the hotel and all the cool things around town that we have to offer, just really encompassing Hot Springs, Arkansas culture. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be right after our break in January, which means we're going to have very, very good cards, and we're really looking forward to it. The Saturday contest is the Southwest Showdown, and then Sunday will be the Oaklawn Horse Players Championship Challenge. So we're really excited.
going to be
Matt, on Sunday night after we win the contest, are we going to play blackjack? Or are we going to play craps? Where am I going to see you at? Which table?
So I am actually not allowed to play the table games because not allowed to play the table games, but I can play machines. I can play anything machine related. So I probably will be at the craps machine. That'd be my guess. I'm a big blackjack guy. If I was allowed to be at the tables here, I would definitely be playing blackjack with you, or I'll sit behind you and watch you. And if you need some help, I can assist. But in telling you whether to double down, that sort of thing. But I have a feeling you'd already know how to do all that.
Not proud of it, but I probably do. I have a decent feel.
It is a gambler's paradise. It's like a little mini Vegas. We got the sports book, which is right when you go from the paddock into the casino. We got the sports book right there. So you can sort of go back and forth between casino, racetrack, and have a good time. And I would hope that if you were a big winner, Jackson, you'd be at the craps table. That's my hope. Then you have the money in the bankroll to go big and roll those dice.
Yeah, craps are the best. So much fun.
Ton of fun. Something that's equally as fun in my eyes is Oaklawn's race card. So without further ado, we'll get on into the late pick 3 today. That's one hell of a transition. First, let's just check in with the chat. Ben Kudla's in here. Ben, what's going on? We're all big fans of you. I owe you a thank you for something that I'll tell you off air. All right, we'll get on into this. We're going to start. It's race number 8. It's the Tinsel Stakes, going 1 1/8 miles, going the 9 furlongs on, of course, the main track. We all have pick 3 tickets that we're going to throw up, and we will go through them as we go through each race. And I'm starting off by going 4-7. I'm sure Jackson's going to have some judgment on that one. Yep. Jackson is going to be singling the 4, and Matt will be singling the 7 to start us off. Those are your 2 morning line favorites. We'll talk first about the number 4, Willie D's, as we kick things off here. Jackson, we went over the Remington card the other day on Pacific Horse Players, and this is a common name for a horse, but it feels like Willie D's is going to be racing here. I know, Matt, I had asked you kind of off air, and nothing's confirmed yet, but it does seem like they're leaning this way.
We've heard that potentially they're leaning towards running in the Tinsel versus running at Remington. And if that's the case, it would make sense because from a pace scenario standpoint, he looks like he's got a pretty good deal there going for him, which I'm sure we'll dive into later. But that's what we know is as of a few days ago, they were leaning towards staying home. He's been training here, just staying at the barn and running out of his own stall here.
I like it. Jackson, you picked and singled this horse to start off the pick 3. Obvious pace presence in here. What do you like about this one? And does the presence of the number 2 Woodcourt, who also has a little bit of early gas, worry you at all?
I mean, it's a concern, I guess, but Woodcourt is really the only other speed horse. It's not like Willie Deeds hasn't won from a length or so off lead either. So I think he'll be okay either way. Kind of just play the break from there. And again, after those 2, I'm looking around this field and there's just really not a lot of speed. A lot of them just come from way out of it. So I think he's going to be able to be 4th placed on a relatively easy fractions up there. And this is my kind of favorite when he's coming off a poor effort, but everything before that was really good and arguably makes him the horse to beat in here. The race 2 back was really good. The race 3 back got a really strong number. The Saratoga race, strong number. Now you might get a little bit of value because the most recent race just wasn't quite up to what we're used to seeing from him. They've given him some time since then, getting back to Oaklawn, where he hasn't won, but he's had plenty of success. He's been in the money several times. I don't think that track is going to be an issue for him. And I just prefer him to rattle and roll. Who's going to have his work cut out for him coming from way out the pace, trying to close into some slower fractions.
Yeah, Matt, you ended up going with the number 7, Rattle and Roll, as your top pick in here. Is that more of a play against Willie D's, or do you really think Rattle and Roll is going to get this setup here with maybe another horse going with the number 4?
I just think he's the class of the race. I could see Woodcourt getting aggressive early. I could even see MacMan being a little bit closer, number 3, than usual. I don't envision this to be a fast pace. I'm not disagreeing with Jackson either that Willie D's has a pace scenario edge over Rattle and Roll, but I do think Rattle and Roll's the better horse in the race. I think he's the classiest horse of the race, and I would think this is a really good spot for him to win and get a confidence booster because he hasn't won in a little while, and maybe if he does get that confidence booster, it's on to bigger and better things down the road. And I also think that the distance is really good for him. Willie D's, I do think he can go 1 1/8 miles, but I feel like a mile and a 16th might be a little bit more in his wheelhouse. I know he got a big number going a mile and an eighth at Saratoga, but turning for home, he opened up and he was starting to get a little bit tired in that race. So that's sort of my theory on him, but I'm going with the class horse. That's why. And because with the higher minimum bet, a $3 late pick 3, which is a lower takeout, by the way, it's 15%. That and the $5 late double that we have as well. I think I said, you know what, it's time to get aggressive and single. And I think that's what you have to do in a situation like this. You instead of maybe using a horse or two defensively, you got to just go with your gut and you got to take stands, because you know that, yeah, it's going to cost you a little more if you do use horses defensively. But if you take a stand and you're right, you're going to make pretty good money.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. However, in my ticket, I did end up going too deep, using the 2 favorites. That is because I think the last race, in my opinion, completely falls apart. We'll get to that a little bit later. But either way, I do think Rattle and Roll, I'm with you, is the class. But the speed that Willie D's has is always dangerous. Jackson, any other horses that you'd like to talk about before we move on to the next one?
No, the rest of this field, I think Woodcourt, the problem with him is he'll be up there on the pace too, but his worst races all come without Lasix. And that's a concern because he does not be able to use it here in this race. Macman, much like Willie D's, I don't think he's quite as good as Willie D's, but I also have just some distance questions about him too, as he's always getting a little tired late going the mile 16th. And then the 5 horse, the Woodbine horse, he's interesting because he's lightly raced. He seems like he's improving. He's another one that has to run without Lasix as well for the first time. He has to prove that. He also has to prove he can run on the dirt. I know he won at Fort Erie, but I think it's a little bit different than what he's going to face likes of Willie D's and Rattle and Roll. So I don't like any of these other long shots, but I think if you're of the opinion that you do like one of these, this is a perfect race for you to take a shot, because 95% of the money is going to run through the 4 and the 7 in this race. So the 5, it might be 6-1 on the tilt board in the win pool. He's going to play much, much higher than that in something like the $3 pick 3.
Yeah, you're completely correct on that. I gave the 5 a really long look. I had that horse in the Fort Erie race on dirt trying to beat Mancetti that day. Haven't had him since then. And but again, yeah, you mentioned has to prove the off Lasix test, and this is a much classier, much tougher bunch than what he faced at Fort Erie. So good points there. If you do take a stand against these 2 favorites, you are surely going to increase your ticket value there. We'll move on though to race number 9. It's going to be an optional claiming non-2 other than event, where it's pretty much a spread race across the board for the 3 of us. I'm going with the 1-7-8. Jackson's going 2 deep using the 4 and 10, and Matt is going 1-4-6-7. Matt, I want to start down on the rail with you. Big City, trained by Ray Ashford, ridden by Tyler Bacon. This one I had to give a really strong look to, and I think this is a major upset candidate, and I love the price at 12-1.
So do I. And at first, I was sort of, I don't know, off a layoff. Is he going to be able to beat this field? But the more I looked at him, the more I figure he's going to get a good trip. He's pretty versatile, even from the rail. I wish he was outside, because then he'd have a little more option. But at least we know that he can stalk and win, as we saw 2 starts ago. His work pattern indicates he should be fit. He's got a number of 5 furlong works on the page. So I think they've got him about as fit as they can off the layoff. And last time out, he ran at this level and didn't run a step, but he was given a bunch of time off after that. So maybe there's a reason for that poor effort. I'm willing to excuse it. He's always gotten good numbers ever since he won that race at Remington in September of 2024. He's been a horse that people have paid attention to in his 3 races here at Oaklawn. And I think that he fits in this field if he runs his best. I think he's going to have to run his very best to win, but I think he's very worthy of a look here.
Yeah, I share that sentiment completely. I think that he is really going to have to run that career best, but we often see that. And he had 2 really nice efforts here at Oaklawn early this year, rather, and then has had some time off, comes back. I expect a fresh effort, and we should see his speed utilized from the inside. Jackson, your top, or one of your 2 top picks in here, is going to be the number 4 Dive Bomber. You and Matt both went with this runner. What do you like about the number 4 here?
Yeah, he's just a horse that's finally figured it out. He's in career best form. He's won his last 3 races, and I like that he's done it a few different ways. The 2 and 3 back races he did from off the pace when he got fast paces to close into. Last time when it was a really soft pace, he took advantage, put himself right on the lead, and was able to win that race too. So I like that he has options in this race, because I'm looking at this field and I have no idea how this pace is going to shake up. I'm not going to be surprised if they fly. I'm also not going to be surprised if they really slow it down. So I like the versatility this horse has. He's won 3 in a row, got numbers that fit. I think there's a lot to like about this horse at 8-1 in the spot.
Yeah, definitely at 8-1. Matt, you also threw this horse in on your tickets. Anything to add?
No, I just think he has really good form, and as Jackson alliterated to, he has really turned it on his last few starts. And a son of Omaha Beach, these Omaha Beaches, they can be precocious, but we've also seen quite a few of them that get a little bit better with time, and maybe he's one of these horses that's just starting to figure things out. And with the good form, I couldn't lead him off tickets. I also think that this horse is going to be very fit cutting back in distance. And we saw he broke his maiden at 6 furlongs. So I don't think this is too short for him.
No, I'm with you. I don't think the distance is going to be an issue for him at all. We haven't really touched on this, and I don't like to go into the hypotheticals. But how does the weather look for this weekend?
The weather looks really strong, actually. It's been a little bit on the colder side on certain days. Like Sunday, it was pretty cold for a December day here in Arkansas. But this weekend, it's supposed to be really nice. We may get a little bit of cloud cover, but it's still going to be pretty warm, and the track will be fast pretty much all week once again, just like last week. So that's a positive.
There we go. All right, we'll keep it moving. We'll go through now to the number 7, Eglise, a horse that I used on my tickets, as did you, Matt. I really like this runner's efforts. I think that the post draw really helps. I'm willing to excuse the last out effort because it came over a wet track, and he has not really shown the affinity to love that kind of surface, at least the sprint distance. So I'm willing to, again, excuse that effort. I think the efforts, 2, 3, 4 back, they all look really strong in here. I like that he's had multiple runs over the surface as well as a win to go on top of that, going back to earlier this year in allowance company. And anytime these non-2 other than races come up, I always look for horses that have been at this condition before and have, multiple wins, whether it's at this level or just multiple wins in general. I like those winning type horses. So I wanted to include this one on your tickets. Anything to add, Matt?
I think he's a horse that wants to be forwardly placed. I mean, we've seen him win from off the pace here at Oaklawn before, but as of late, his biggest numbers have come close to the pace. So it's going to be interesting to how Bejarano plays this, because last time out he stalked, didn't run well. It was over a wet track, as you say, so maybe he just didn't care for it. He's the type of horse I could see him, whether he wins or loses, running a really strong race, or we see him run back to his last race and just throw in the towel and not run a step, and neither would surprise me. I think he's a very much hit or miss type of horse.
He is. He's kind of that all or nothing sort, and I assume, Jackson, that's why you left him off of your tickets at 3-1.
Yeah, I was a little more concerned about the most recent race than you guys were, because he has run well in the wet tracks before. I know he didn't win those races, but he ran very well in those spots. Now, not all wet tracks are the same, so maybe it was just completely different, and you are supposed to forgive it. But I wasn't concerned enough at a short price to try to take him on in this spot. But I won't be surprised at all if he wins this race by 4, because he probably is the best horse on his best day.
On his best day, yes, but it is a question if we're going to get that. We'll go one to the inside. Lips Say Bliss. Matt, another one you included on your ticket, coming out of another sloppy track effort at Churchill Downs.
I actually have a legit few things to say about this horse. I think he's the one I talk about more than anybody in this race. You look at his speed figure on the buyer, a 96, and you see it came over the mud and he ran second. And you look and you say to yourself, well, maybe this horse maybe he's just a mud specialist. He just loved the mud. I don't really buy that theory, because this horse has run in the mud before in the slop, and he's gotten pretty comparable speed figures to his dry track races. My theory is that this horse doesn't want to go too far, and they've almost swung and missed a little bit with the fact that this horse is a mile and a 16th, mile and an eighth horse, even ran a mile and 3/8. I don't think he wants to go that far. I think this horse is a 6 furlong mile type of horse, and he broke his maiden first time out with an 81 buyer sprinting, and then he never sprinted again. So this horse's 2 best races, some of his better races, have come at 1 turn. I think he's a 1-turn horse. And on top of that, I also think that there's a lot of speed in this race, and I think he's going to get a good trip. So I'm convinced that this horse may actually be better going 1 turn, as crazy as it may sound, because the vast majority of his races have come at 2 turns.
No, I think you bring up a really nice point where, his 2 sprint efforts are very good. Obviously, that debut was really, really strong as a 2-year-old, running an 81 on debut and in the late fall. But still, that's a very strong number to run as a 2-year-old. And then you said it, that was his only time around 1 turn until last time out at Churchill Downs. Maybe the slot moved him up, but either way, he might love this 1 turn. And if there's a horse that I would trust to be picking up the pieces late, it is probably the number 6, Lips Say Bliss. So good points there. Next one I'll talk about is number 8, Classify. This is one that I think could get that kind of stalking pace trip, maybe get the jump on some of those deep closers. I think the pace scenario might get a little bit murky in here. They could fly earlier, as Jackson said. I could see them maybe backing things down a little bit, but I think Classify sits that trip, maybe, in that second flight of horses. Should be in the clear turning for home. Maybe he just kind of gets that jump and is able to hang on. I do like that he's coming out of a 7 furlong effort as well, so he should have a little bit of that foundation. Has a couple runs over this track too, so he has that familiarity to go off of. So Serafin Caramona, a name that Jackson, you and I are familiar with, running out on the West Coast here. So maybe he can get his first win out at Hot Springs this weekend. So I'm going to use the number 8, Classify, on my tickets. Jackson, we'll go to you to wrap us up here on the penultimate race. It's the number 10, Gold Sweep.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of his Horseshoe Indy form because he had 2 races on the fast track there, and both of them he won very nicely, and both of them he got really strong numbers that make him every bit as good as everyone else in this spot. I don't know if that form necessarily always translates over to Oaklawn over here against much better horses, but I do know with him being drawn outside, he's basically guaranteed to get a really good trip no matter how this pace shakes out. So I think at 5-1, I wanted to use him in this spot. And also, I think Matt talked me into using the 6 too, because that's something I missed, that he is 2 for 2 on sprinting. I was trying to figure out, like, where did that number come from? But he hadn't sprinted in a very, very long time. And the only time he did was in his debut, where he got a really good number as, I think it was a 2-year-old. He got an 81 buyer. So that's a really strong number. I'll use a 6 in this race as well.
Yeah, he made a very compelling point on the 6, so I might have to give that one a closer look as well. The number 10, Gold Sweep, another one. That's certainly a contender. This is a very contentious race. I could see this race falling any number of directions. I just hope that you get your price with whoever you choose. We'll move on to the final race. It's a allowance condition for the first level, 3-year-olds and upwards, going 6 furlongs. Tickets still on the screen. I'm going 2, 3, 6. Jackson is going 6, 8. And Matt is going 6, 7, 8, 10. So let's start with the pace scenario. Thank you, Jackson. How do you guys view the pace in here? I mean, obviously, I think there's an abundance of speed. Raise the bar from the rail, truly, like, in my opinion, only has really one way to go. Missing Hollywood, maybe not the quickest, but likes to be forward. Turn Up the Trees is a speedball type for David Jacobson that likes to be forward. Run Jalen Run for Steve Manley, another one that for sure needs to be forward to do his best running. It seems that pace is a plenty in here. We'll start with the number 6, a horse that all 3 of us are using on our tickets. It's the other David Jacobson entrant. This one is cutting back from 7 furlongs at Churchill Downs. Matt, we'll start with you for using this horse on your tickets.
Well, he's similar to Lips Say Bliss in the sense that we haven't seen him go on 1 turn in a while before his last race, and he ran second, ran a good race. I just think the pace will be beneficial to him. I do think there's a good amount of pace in here. Turn Up the Trees would be running back in a week, so it'll be interesting if he actually stays in. Who knows? Maybe if he's in there to ensure some pace for inexorable. Both runners are owned by Jacobson and the Jacobson family. So with that in mind, it'll be interesting if Turn Up the Trees stays in. I think this horse is fine going 1 turn, but really the key for me is the pace. I know he's 0 for 6 at Oaklawn, but he's run against some pretty good horses here. And he's actually hasn't run bad races. He just hasn't won. So I think he's very dangerous from off the pace. I do feel that maybe the pace needs to set up for him if he's going to get the gold prize, but I think it could.
I definitely think it could. Pace does need to set up, but I do love these horses that cut back and are going to get that pace to close into. He's winless in 6 tries over this Oaklawn track, but he has run some respectable races as well, and a lot of those have been going longer, going the 2 turns. So he does get to cut back, and maybe that is just going to, eventually wake him up. That last race in the $50,000 claimer, that was a strong effort he came out of, running behind Oscar Eclipse and beating Carmel Chip home. Carmel Chip is a stakes horse or a stakes winner previous in his racing career. Jackson, anything to add on the number 6 Inexorable?
Yeah, this is one I probably will press up a little bit because I think he's got a huge shot in here. There seems like there's so much speed, it kind of has to set up for him. And I love when, most recent race, got the barn switch, first time in the Jacobson barn, he ran really well in that spot. It was a really slow pace. It was basically a merry-go-round, except for him. He's the only one who did any kind of running from the back half of the field, and he got up to get second that day. So it was a really strong effort. Seems like second time out, they're really confident in him, that they're not risking him for the tag in Saturday's race. I just think there's a lot of things pointing in his direction that I want to press him up quite a bit, and especially in a bet like the pick 3, because I think you'll get more value in the pick 3, whereas I could see him come the win pool. He could come down from the 8-1 on the morning line.
He very well could. We'll go right to this one's outside in the number 7 Gun Flash. Matt, you're using this 15-1 shot on top, or in your tickets, I should say, hoping to really spice things up in the finale.
Yeah, he's always been a real nice horse, just an old pro. Another one that's going to be coming from off the pace, and that could help him. I think he's got some back class that you can look at. Comes off a confidence-boosting win last time out. First off the claim for Ray Ashford, who has pretty good numbers. First off the claim with a small sample size. I like him. I think he's fast enough. He's sort of one that he's run at this type of level before and run well. At Oaklawn, he hasn't been able to really break through at the level, but he's been close a few times. So he's around. He makes sense. I think he's sort of like inexorable. I think the pace has got to be right for him, but I think he's going to get it here. And both horses, I think, can come rolling.
Yeah, he could get it. And Ray Ashford off to a hot start. He is the trainer that debuted Decode just a couple days ago. You are both using the number 8 in Sinner's Sin, another one that's kind of that outside speed. Jackson, I'll throw it back to you. What do you like about this runner in a race loaded with pace?
No, you kind of nailed it. He's the outermost draw on speed, so he's going to be fourth place, but he's also a horse that doesn't need to be in front to be effective. So he can just sit a length off if he needs to, get a good trip, get first run in those deeper closers. Hopefully he's ready for start off the bench, but I think he's got a shot if he's able to show up.
Matt, I want to ask you, you also use this runner. How do you kind of compare or judge, rather, the horses that have taken that middle part of the year off and they return back at Oaklawn off the layoff versus horses that have, had maybe a lengthy campaign throughout the spring and the summer into the fall and then coming back to Oaklawn? Because as we know, Oaklawn's a pretty exhausting track. It's a tough track to win at, and you are always facing a full field. So what do you kind of make of that when you're handicapping a race?
Well, I think it's hard. I think it's really hard. And I've always said this place is like a hub for a bunch of different circuits, bunch of different horses to all show up and run against each other. And Sinner's Sin, for example, he's actually won at this type of level before. He won in Indiana in September, but they're in the condition. We have a clause here that basically says if non-winners of such and such an X amount of dollar amount, and a lot of horses that win at this level at Remington, Indiana, Texas, Louisiana Downs, they're eligible still at this level because the purse isn't as high as maybe a place like New York or Florida or the bigger tracks. So he's eligible for a race like this. I look at connections and I look to see, for example, Ron Moquette. He's a guy who it's sometimes hard to read because sometimes his horses need a race here and they come off of breaks because Ron's somebody who really gears up for Oaklawn. And I think it depends on the horse. Sometimes they need a race. Other times he wants to win right away. It appears here with a number of half mile works on the page, which is pretty standard for Ron's training regimen. Hasn't really missed a beat. I would think that they have this horse ready to run in this particular scenario. But I look at basically the connections and certain connections, you just get to know them. They win early, and then that's what they gear up towards is winning early. Gennaro Garcia is a perfect example of somebody who had a lot of success early last year, and he already had a winner last week. And he's got a horse tomorrow. Actually, that's my best bet on the card. I think will win. And then there are other trainers that maybe it looks like, especially after the first week or two, it looks like they're giving a horses an out before they're really ready to shine. So I take it mostly on connections, and I look at work patterns. So the work patterns very much can indicate if a horse is fit and ready or not.
Definitely. That's an excellent insight. And thank you for answering all those questions. We'll dive down towards the inside. I'll quickly talk about the 2 and the 3. We've talked about the abundance of pace in here, and Cybertown is one that is absolutely going to be picking up pieces late, especially if they really fly early, which I hope they do, because all of my picks are going to be, 10, 15 lengths out of it until they turn for home. So I'm hoping to hear Matt's voice inflection as Cybertown or Miss in Hollywood, are flying down the center of the track. But I do think Cybertown deserves a look. His numbers are not bad going 2 turns by any means. Cuts back to the 1-turn distance where, again, earlier this year, when trained by Ingrid Mason, had some really good sprint efforts at state-bred conditions. This is an Archie bred facing the opens, but though he's nothing but consistent, and I do think coming off of a career best number versus the optional claiming non-2 other than drops back into the first level allowance now. He's very comfortable against open. He's going to be sprinting. Of course, the mile and a 16th at Colonial is 1 turn. So he's going to get a chance, and I don't know how close he's going to be. Probably not very. But again, I hope they really fly early and he picks things up as they come towards the wire. Number 3, just to that one's outside, Manny Esquivel aboard Miss in Hollywood. This is one that not as deep of a closer, but one that's going to be from off of it. And again, could get the jump on the deepest of closers. Going 6 furlongs, it's always a bit of a tricky distance. Sometimes that speed's able to hold just a little bit more than you'd like it to than if it was at 6.5. So this is one I think could get that kind of stock and pounce trip. There's plenty of speed to allow Miss in Hollywood to get to the rail, save the ground as they go around. And Manny Esquivel is a great rider, especially at Oaklawn. So he will find a path for this horse. So 2-3-6 for me. And Matt, we'll go to you to bring us home. Tom Amoss now training the gelded son of his champion sprinter, Serengeti Empress, Invictus.
Yeah, and Invictus, boy, they bought him for a lot of money. The folks that had him for Brad Cox, and things just haven't worked out. But I think Invictus is one that could very well get a good trip here from off the pace. Looked like early in the career this horse showed some speed, and then that race 2 back really showed this horse has some versatility to him. It's hard to improve off of Brad Cox or even keep him as good as Brad Cox has him. But Tom Amoss is certainly the type of guy that can do it. He's got him fit. He's got him ready at all times. He trains in a manner like Brad Cox to keep them fit. So with that in mind, I wouldn't be too concerned about the barn change necessarily. But I am concerned with his inconsistencies. Obviously, he's got some ability there, as we've seen in a couple of races. He hasn't really been able to put back-to-back races together in a row. Now he's gelded. He's a first-time gelding in this race. I think that's the most hit-or-miss angle there is. I think I don't want to call it an overrated angle, but it can be an overrated angle. Sometimes you see horses really focus better. They lean out. That helps them. They thin out because they're gelded, and it all helps them. Other times they do it as a desperation move, and they hope it works, and it doesn't do anything, and it is what it is. I think that this horse, another one of those hit-or-miss horses like I talked about with the favorite at Gleese in the 9th race, I feel like this horse, he's either going to run a really good race or he's going to run a really bad race, and I don't think there's going to be much in between.
I'm with you. I don't know what to do with this horse. I don't have this information confirmed, but I feel like the gelding date might be just when they reported it, because he worked on 12-3 and worked again on 12-10, so 3 days after the gelding, and he hasn't been seen since July. So, I wonder if he really did get gelded just, about 13 days ago, 11 days ago. If that's the case, yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for that, for that to set in. So I do like them to maybe have a little bit more time. If I'm going to bet a first-time gelding, maybe a couple months to let everything kind of set in, let their body readjust and everything. But I'm with you. Invictus could run off the screen here if he runs to that maiden breaking performance. I think everybody's probably running for second because that was a really nice effort. But other than that, none of his efforts have really jumped off the page, but he is a dark horse. They paid a lot of money for him, and Tom Amoss is very good with those turf sprinters. So that will conclude the late pick 3 with all the horses that we're going to be including. Jackson, I'll start with you to get your final thoughts on this sequence. As I love this $3 pick 3 with the 15% takeout player friendly is becoming commonplace at all the major racetracks.
Yeah, I agree. It's quickly become my favorite bet on every track because I just think I think overspreading is every horse player's biggest issue right now. And with the $3 minimums, you really can't afford to overspread.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of throws those issues out the window. And if you're right in these pick threes, they just pay so well. They pay so much better than the parlays do. So I like to keep them skinny in this one. Like I did, I singled the favorite the first race and then picked a couple prices in the next two. And if we can connect the dots on this ticket, it should pay, I don't know, 1,000-ish. I mean, it should pay pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. I went a bit of a different way. I used the two favorites in the first. I used a price with a couple other kind of middle-priced horses there in the second leg, and then I'm blowing things up in the last leg with 20-1, 30-1, and then the horse that we all have on our tickets in the number 6. That's a $48 ticket for me. Jackson, your ticket is $12. Matt, your ticket also $48 if I'm doing my math right, which I think I am. Go ahead and give us your parting words as we wrap up the Gallop Out here covering Oaklawn Park.
Look, I think it's handicapping Oaklawn is as hard as anywhere to handicap because, like I said, there's a lot of different horses from a lot of different places. There's a lot of angles to take into consideration. They're big fields. And the good news is that if you get it right, you're going to get paid handsomely here. The payouts are very good. And I like especially since starting – with the golden hour double and pick 4, we saw that higher minimum, lower takeout when I was at Golden Gate have very much overlay payouts. And it's the same concept here. So just a reminder for those at home, there are rolling doubles, there are rolling pick 3s, but it's just that last get out late pick 3 and the late daily doubles. The last 2 races on the card and the last 3 races on the card, the late pick 3s, a $3 15% takeout bet, and the late doubles a $5 minimum 15% takeout wager. And just for fun, for those who are watching tomorrow, we have a $45,000 carryover in a new bet that we added, the Class 6. It's a $1 pick 6. It's not a jackpot bet. It is a classic pick 6 $1 play. And we've got a $45,000 carryover races 5 through 10 tomorrow for those who are interested. But the Class 6 actually was a thing way back when, and they took it away for a while, and now it's back. So we've added those 3 new bets, and I would say this, what you said earlier, Ryan, with Pat Pope, our racing secretary, who does a phenomenal job. He's as good of a racing secretary as I've ever seen, knowing his inventory and knowing how to write races and be creative with that. He makes sure that these late sequences are really, really competitive so that you do get good payoffs. It's not easy, but if you hit it, you're going to get good payoffs. And I think race 8 is fairly straightforward, as we all seem to believe. But races 9 and 10 are very, very competitive. And that's, I would imagine that'll be a trend you're going to see all meet long.
Absolutely. And while race 8 maybe seems a little bit straightforward, it is still a stake race, and those are all very classy horses that could step up on the day. That was a fun show. You mentioned $45,000 carryover in the Class 6 tomorrow at Oaklawn. I'm pretty sure you guys only have like 72 horses in that sequence. So yeah, no, that's no wonder you guys get carryovers every time. It's probably more than 72. Horses, yeah, 12 to 14 in almost every race. I mean, it's a great product down at Oaklawn. It makes for a fun betting card every day. I'm more of a pick 5 guy at Oaklawn. I need the bankroll it would take to cover those 6 races. It's huge, but carryovers, that's my love language. So we'll wrap things up. Good luck this week, Matt, calling races, and I'm sure we'll have you on again probably prior to Southwest Day to go over the contest and promote that one more time. And also got to handicap those races because that's going to be a fantastic card coming out of your break. Happy holidays to you, Matt. Happy holidays to everybody watching. Thank you guys for watching. For my co-host, Jackson Muniz, this has been our special guest, Matt Dinerman. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson. We will see you guys next time.